there's a quiet moment many gardeners recognize. You step into the garden after a long, busy week, expecting to see plants struggling or dried out, only to find that a few are still standing, still growing, and doing just fine. Some vegetables and useful plants seem to fit naturally into real life, where watering schedules aren't perfect, weather changes unexpectedly, and time often runs short. These plants don't need constant attention to survive. Welcome to Zoom Garden. Today we're focusing on plants that are forgiving and easy to live with, especially leafy vegetables and practical plants that can keep growing even after being harvested or temporarily neglected. Gardening doesn't have to be complicated or stressful. It's about building habits that work with your lifestyle, learning what your plants actually need, and enjoying the small progress along the way. On this channel, whether we're talking about vegetables, beginner-friendly tips, budget gardening, or basic plant care, the goal stays the same: to make gardening feel calmer, more practical, and easier to enjoy every day. Ten plants that grow well even when you forget about them. 1. Green onions, scallions, the kitchen garden plant that regrows again and again with almost no effort. Green onions were once a common feature in traditional kitchen gardens because of their practicality and reliability. They could be harvested multiple times without the need for replanting, which made them ideal for households that depended on homegrown ingredients. In earlier times, families valued green onions as a simple way to add flavor to everyday meals. When food options were limited, green onions helped improve taste and provided small nutritional benefits that supported basic home cooking. As grocery stores expanded and vegetables became inexpensive and easy to access, growing green onions at home slowly became less common. Convenience replaced the need for small-scale gardening, especially in urban areas. However, the advantages of growing green onions never disappeared. Today, they remain one of the most practical plants for modern home gardeners, especially those with limited space, time, or experience. Green onions also support sustainable food habits. Instead of throwing away the root ends, they can be reused to grow new plants. This reduces food waste and helps households make better use of what they already have. The process is simple. Save the white root ends, place them in shallow water for a few days until new growth appears, then transfer them into soil for continued regrowth. Overall, green onions are a low-risk and high-reward option for small kitchen gardens. They are dependable, fast-growing, and adaptable to different environments. For anyone interested in starting a simple and sustainable gardening habit, green onions are a practical place to begin. 2. A traditional leafy green that keeps producing even when care isn't perfect. Kale was once grown mainly for its toughness rather than its popularity. Long before it became a trendy superfood, kale was valued because it could survive cold weather, poor soil, and inconsistent care. Older gardeners relied on it as a dependable leafy green that kept producing even when other vegetables struggled. In many regions, kale was a practical crop that helped families maintain a steady food supply through difficult growing seasons. As food trends changed, kale became strongly associated with modern health culture. While this increased its popularity in stores and restaurants, it also created some confusion for home growers. Many people began to believe that kale required special techniques, expensive soil amendments, or complex care routines. As a result, some gardeners stopped growing it, assuming it was more work than it was worth. This perception is largely inaccurate. In reality, kale remains one of the most practical and forgiving vegetables for home gardens. It grows well in both small and large spaces, including raised beds and containers. Kale does not require constant attention and can tolerate minor neglect better than many other leafy greens. Once established, it continues to produce leaves over a long period, making it a reliable option for gardeners who want consistent results. Kale also fits easily into everyday cooking. It works well in simple meals such as soups, stir-fries, salads, and sautés. From a sustainability standpoint, kale supports efficient food production because it delivers strong nutritional value without demanding large amounts of space, water, or fertilizer. This makes it especially useful for home gardeners focused on reducing waste and growing their own food. 3. The old-time garden herb that grows strong even when you forget about it. Mint has been grown for centuries around homes for practical reasons. People used it for tea, simple cooking, basic medicine, and to keep living spaces smelling fresh. In traditional home gardens, mint was valued because it was easy to grow, spread quickly, and survived even when it was not carefully maintained. Gardeners appreciated plants that did not require constant attention, and mint fit that role well. As gardening and landscaping trends changed, especially in modern suburban areas, mint started to get a bad reputation. Many homeowners preferred neat, highly controlled garden designs, and mint was seen as a problem because it spreads fast and can take over garden beds. Because of this, it was often avoided in favor of plants that stayed in one place and required more structured care. Mint is also useful for supporting more sustainable food habits. Having fresh mint at home reduces the need to buy packaged herbs from the store, which often go unused and get thrown away. Freshly harvested mint can be used in drinks, salads, sauces, or simple home cooking, making everyday meals more practical and enjoyable. Overall, mint is a reliable, low-effort plant that fits modern lifestyles. It is familiar, useful, and dependable for anyone who wants to grow something without a lot of stress. Growing tip: plant mint in a pot instead of directly in the ground to control its spread and make harvesting easier. 4. A reliable leafy vegetable that survives inconsistent watering and still feeds the kitchen. Swiss chard was once a common and reliable vegetable in home gardens because of its long harvest season and highly nutritious leaves. Many families depended on it as a steady source of fresh greens since it could be harvested repeatedly without replanting. Unlike some leafy vegetables that bolt or stop producing quickly, Swiss chard continued to grow for months. Over time, however, it lost popularity as gardeners shifted toward faster-growing crops or vegetables that were considered more fashionable or visually appealing. Today, Swiss chard deserves renewed attention, especially for practical kitchen gardens. It is a resilient plant that adapts well to a wide range of growing conditions. Swiss chard tolerates heat better than lettuce and handles light frost better than many warm-season greens. This makes it suitable for extended growing seasons in many regions of the United States. It also performs well even with irregular watering or less than perfect soil, which is helpful for beginner gardeners or busy households. Another advantage of Swiss chard is its efficiency in small spaces. It grows well in raised beds, containers, and compact garden plots, making it ideal for urban or suburban gardens. With basic gardening tools and minimal maintenance, one plant can provide a steady supply of leaves for weeks or even months. This continuous harvest reduces the need for frequent replanting and helps lower grocery expenses. Swiss chard also supports sustainable food habits. Because the plant keeps producing, it reduces food waste and encourages fresh, local consumption. Growing tip: harvest outer leaves by cutting them about 1 inch above the base of the plant. This method protects the center growth and encourages consistent regrowth throughout the season. 5. A forgotten garden plant that gives food from both roots and greens. Sweet potatoes were traditionally grown not only for their underground roots but also for their nutritious leafy greens. In many parts of the world, especially in rural communities, families relied on sweet potatoes as a dependable food source during difficult times such as droughts or economic hardship. Both the roots and the leaves provided essential nutrients, making the plant a practical and efficient crop. The leaves were commonly cooked like spinach or added to soups and stir-fried dishes, while the roots served as a filling and long-lasting staple. In modern gardening, however, sweet potatoes are usually grown only for their tubers. Many gardeners overlook the value of the leaves, even though they are edible, fast-growing, and rich in vitamins. This narrow focus has caused people to miss out on one of the plant's most useful features. As interest in sustainable and practical food growing increases, sweet potato plants are becoming relevant again for home gardens. Sweet potatoes are especially well suited for warm climates. They tolerate high temperatures and uneven watering better than many common vegetables. Once established, the vines spread quickly across the soil, helping to reduce weeds and prevent erosion. This ground cover also helps retain moisture, which is useful in dry or unpredictable weather. At the same time, the plant produces a steady supply of edible leaves throughout the growing season. Another advantage is that sweet potatoes require very little equipment or specialized knowledge. They can be grown in garden beds, containers, or even raised planters. For people interested in low-maintenance kitchen gardens or sustainable food habits, sweet potatoes are a smart choice. They provide multiple harvests from a single plant and fit well into small or backyard gardens. 6. A classic indoor plant that thrives quietly with minimal attention. Pothos is not a vegetable, but it has been a popular indoor plant for decades because of its durability and ability to adapt to different environments. In many older households, plants like pothos were chosen for practical reasons. They could survive in low-light rooms, tolerate inconsistent watering, and continue growing with minimal attention. This made pothos a reliable choice for people who wanted greenery without spending much time on plant care. As indoor gardening trends evolved, many houseplants became more decorative but also more demanding. Plants that required specific lighting, frequent watering, or careful temperature control gained popularity. During this shift, simple and hardy plants such as pothos were often overlooked, even though they continued to perform well in everyday living spaces. Today, pothos is once again recognized as an ideal plant for beginners. It is easy to grow, forgiving of small mistakes, and adapts well to apartments, houses, and shared spaces. Pothos works especially well in kitchens, home gardening areas, and corners that receive indirect light. Its trailing vines add visual interest without requiring constant maintenance. For best results, pothos should be planted in well-draining soil and watered only when the top layer of soil feels dry. Overwatering is one of the most common mistakes. Trimming the vines occasionally will help the plant grow fuller and prevent it from becoming too long or sparse. With basic care, pothos can stay healthy and attractive for many years, making it a practical and dependable indoor plant. 7. A low-maintenance home plant grown for generations by simply letting it be. Aloe vera has been grown around homes for generations because it is one of the easiest plants to maintain. In the past, many families kept aloe plants near kitchens, windowsills, or back doors so they were always within reach. The plant was commonly used for simple household needs, such as soothing minor burns, skin irritation, or cuts. Because aloe required very little attention, it became a reliable plant for people who did not have much time or experience in gardening. As time passed, aloe vera became widely commercialized. Products made from aloe, including gels, drinks, and skincare items, became available in stores. This convenience slowly reduced the habit of growing aloe at home. Many people began to rely on packaged products instead of maintaining their own plants. Despite this shift, aloe vera has never lost its value as a practical and functional houseplant. Today, aloe vera still fits perfectly into low-maintenance home gardens, especially for people living in apartments or small houses. It grows well in pots and containers, making it suitable for indoor spaces or patios. Aloe does not require frequent watering and can tolerate periods of neglect, which makes it ideal for busy individuals. Overwatering is one of the few things that can harm the plant, so less care is often better than too much attention. For best results, aloe should be watered only when the soil is completely dry. It prefers bright, indirect light and does not do well in cold or overly damp conditions. With minimal effort, aloe vera can remain a useful and long-lasting part of any home garden. A small garden favorite that recovers easily from missed watering days. Cherry tomatoes were once a common choice for home gardeners because they were easier to grow and more forgiving than larger tomato varieties. Early gardeners valued them for their ability to recover quickly after stress caused by heat, inconsistent watering, or minor pest damage. Unlike larger tomatoes, cherry tomatoes continued to produce fruit even when growing conditions were not perfect, making them a reliable option for beginners and small-scale growers. As agriculture became more commercialized, attention gradually shifted toward hybrid tomato varieties designed for high yields, uniform size, and long-distance shipping. These commercial priorities often favored larger tomatoes, which reduced the popularity of cherry tomatoes in large farming operations. However, this shift did not change the advantages that cherry tomatoes still offer to home gardeners. Today, cherry tomatoes are especially well suited for kitchen gardens, patios, balconies, and container growing. Their compact growth habits make them easy to manage in small spaces, and they adapt well to a wide range of climates. One of their biggest advantages is their tolerance for occasional missed watering. While consistent care is always best, cherry tomatoes handle minor neglect better than larger tomato plants, which are more prone to cracking and disease under stress. A helpful growing tip is to water deeply but less frequently. This practice encourages the plant to develop strong, deep roots, which improves drought tolerance and overall plant health. With proper sunlight, support, and routine care, cherry tomatoes remain one of the most practical crops for home gardeners. 9. Snake plant, Sansevieria, a tough house plant chosen for homes where life gets busy. Snake plants were commonly found in older homes because they were easy to keep alive. Homeowners valued them for their ability to survive long periods without regular watering or attention. These plants were chosen for reliability rather than appearance or popularity. At a time when indoor plants were seen as practical additions, snake plants fit perfectly into everyday living spaces. As interior design trends evolved, houseplants became more decorative and visually expressive. Many people began favoring plants with softer shapes, colorful leaves, or seasonal blooms. During this shift, snake plants slowly faded into the background. They were still present, but rarely highlighted or discussed as design features. Their strong, upright leaves and simple appearance were often overlooked. Today, snake plants are gaining renewed appreciation, especially in busy households. They are well suited for people who want greenery indoors but do not have the time for frequent plant care. Snake plants can adapt to a wide range of indoor conditions and maintain their form with minimal effort. This makes them a practical choice for modern living environments. In addition to being low maintenance, snake plants help support indoor garden spaces by adding structure and balance. Their vertical growth works well in kitchen garden areas, entryways, and corners that need definition. While they are not edible and do not serve a direct functional purpose like herbs, they contribute to a sense of consistency and order within the home. 10. Peace lily, a gentle indoor plant that clearly tells you when it needs care. Peace lilies were once popular because they made plant care simple. Their leaves visibly drooped when they needed water, giving gardeners a clear and reliable signal. For many traditional home gardeners, this kind of direct feedback was practical and reassuring. Plants were valued not just for their appearance, but for how easy they were to understand and maintain. As gardening trends changed, peace lilies slowly lost attention. More decorative and high-maintenance ornamental plants became fashionable, especially those chosen for visual impact rather than function. These newer plants often required strict watering schedules, specific light conditions, and frequent care. As a result, peace lilies were sometimes seen as outdated or too basic for modern interiors. Despite this shift, peace lilies remain a sensible choice for practical home gardeners today. They adapt well to indoor environments and tolerate low-light conditions better than many popular houseplants. This makes them suitable for apartments, offices, and homes without strong natural sunlight. Even when neglected, peace lilies recover quickly after wilting, which reduces the risk of permanent damage caused by missed watering. Another advantage is their compatibility with simple gardening routines. Peace lilies do not require specialized tools, fertilizers, or complex care systems. A basic pot, standard soil, and regular observation are usually enough to keep them healthy. Conclusion: small gardens, lasting value. These plants remind us that gardening doesn't have to be complicated to be meaningful. Forgotten vegetables, forgiving leafy greens, and resilient plants all show how small efforts can create long-term value. By choosing plants that work with real life, we reduce stress and increase consistency. Kitchen gardens become more enjoyable when they grow alongside our routines instead of against them. Sustainable food habits begin with simple, repeatable choices. A calm garden grows best when it's allowed to be human. Growing at your own pace. If this video inspired you, take a moment to think about which plant fits your life right now. Gardening is not about doing everything at once, but about starting gently and staying curious. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to Zoom Garden for more calm, practical gardening ideas. Share this video with someone who wants an easier way to grow at home. And let us know in the comments, which forgotten vegetable or plant do you still grow today?